goes the other way. That's right.
And now, Pujya Atman Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda commences tonight's satsang with a Sanskrit peace chant.
Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We begin with Mystic Song by Sri Swami Lalitananda, played and sung by Sri Swami Umananda and Rajneesh.
Our song tonight is called O Mighty Sage. Almighty Sage, adorations to you. You are our guiding light, dispelling the darkness, leading us to eternity. Beloved crew, we are in a dark night. Draw us to a new dawn, where the sun is eternal, above the clouds of despair. Forgive our mistakes, shield us from temptation. Pujya Atman, protect us always, wherever we must go, guide us. Whisper softly within our heart and soul. Om Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Shri Guruve Namaha. Almighty Guru, the tides come and go, but you are always near. We are recording from the ashram of our revered Guru, Pujya Atman, Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda in Miami, Florida. Today is July the 10th, 2020, Friday evening, and tonight Swamiji will be lecturing on the Tulsi Ramayana. This is series 2016, class number 212. And now Pujya Atman, Sri Swami Jyotirmayananda.
Om Neelambujasyamalakomalangam Sita Samaropita Vamabhagam Panau Mahasayaka Charu Chapam Namami Ramam Raghuvanshanatham. Adorations Lord Rama, whose complexion is like a blue lotus, very tender and delightful in appearance. Sita is seated on his left side, and he is carrying a powerful bow and arrow in his hands. Sri Ramcharitmanas, Ayodhya Kand, and verse number is 225. And the context in the storyline, Bharata, with all the royal family and associations and a big army, is moving towards where Rama is in the forest, Rama, Lakshmana, Sita, with the intention of coronating Rama and bringing him back to Ayodhya so that he may become the ruler. And he has a great confidence within himself that Rama loves his devotee, and because he is a powerful devotee, Rama will come down from his resolve to stay for 14 years in forest. You are being given a picture of devotional movement. Not ordinary picture, is mystic insight. We are adopting the story of Bharata and how he meets Rama and all these details. So you have one side, the storyline that is very fascinating. On the other side, the stories are not meant just to entertain you. They are meant to bring you insight into the subtle movement of your spiritual progress. Spiritual progress is always integral. Karma, bhakti, dhyana and jnana, they must coordinate, harmonize. In Ramayana story, Rama is jnana, Lakshmana is dhyana, meditation process. Bharata is bhakti, Shatrugna is karma. So all those four aspects are involved in promoting Rama Rajya. Rama Rajya is the highest attainment, Jivan Mukti. भरत प्रेम जैसे ही समय जस तस कही कही सकई न शेषु Kabhi agama jimi brahma sukhu ahamama malina janeshu. The love that is expressing through Bharata, that love is indescribable. Sheshanag, that holds this whole universe on his hoods. Among talkers, he is the greatest because he has thousands hoods. He can well describe everything in this Brahma's creation. But devotion takes you beyond Brahma's creation. Union with God, moksha, liberation. And liberation goes beyond the range of chitta. Chitta is, cosmic chitta is Shesha serpent with countless hoods. All the experiences of this world, they are not real in themselves. Tables, chairs, houses, cities, all the knowledge you are gaining out of what things are going on in politics, geography, geology, botany, all these are not independent realities. They are being experienced through the chitta in every individual as chitta vrittis. Just like in a cinema show doesn't have independent reality. But the show continues as long as the projections are effective. As long as projections continue, show continues. Projections stop, show stops. All experiences of the soul through the mental process are like projections. So keeping that in view, the allegorical simile, the entire universe is held on the hoods of Shesha serpent. And even Lord Vishnu lies in the couch of the Shesha serpent. Lord Vishnu here refers to Sagun Sakar. Any idea of God having a form is sustained by your vrittis of your mind. Beyond vrittis, God becomes Nirgun Nirakar. But if you are viewing Nirgun Nirakar through your mind, again they also are in that vrittis. Kabhi agam jimi brahma sukh. Just as bliss of Brahman cannot be expressed even through best poets. Poets have ability to bring out amazing truths through their poetic expressions. That's the difference between prose and poetry. In prose, You see already all that is being told. In poetry, it touches the strings of your heart. खड़ा हिमालय बता रहा है, it's poetry. Prose, Himalayas are the highest mountains. But in poetry, Himalayas standing firm are shouting out to you, Daro na aadhi pani se. Do not be frightened by storms and rains. Look, find shelter. Be like me, firm. And poetry didn't end there. We have to now go on figuring out what the poetry means. So poetry has a great dimension. Therefore, best of scriptures are presented in the form of poetic language. The entire Gita is poetry. Upanishads, 90% verses that you can chant, sing, dance with. So that's the... But all this poetic ability will not bring out or present to you bliss of Brahman. The poetic art can point the finger, but cannot bring in exact language. In other words, the description of avarnaniya. Brahman is indescribable. सकल स्नेह शिथिल रघुबर के गए कोश दुई दिन कर ढर के. All people, they have already come to know that they are very close to where Rama, Lakshmana, Sita are. The very sense that they are coming very close, led by Bharata, all the party feels extremely delighted with a melting heart in each personality. They spent their night close by, close to where Rama, Lakshmana are there. And early in the morning, their trip started. So while that is the story of what Bharata party is doing, now the story switches to Rama, Lakshmana and Sita. Uha Ram Rajani Avashesha Jage Siya Sapana Asadekha. Rama suddenly woke up early in the morning. Still, the night had not terminated. And Sita Devi told her about her dream. सहित समाज भरत जनु आए, नाथ वियोग तापतन ताये. In her dream she saw Bharata came along with a large party. And his body is as if tortured by the fever of separation from Rama. In brief, in her dream she saw that Bharata is suffering from Rama's separation, and that suffering is expressing through his personality, implying also all the royal party have come with that eager aspiration for Rama's darshan. Sakal malin manam deen dukhari, dekhi sasu ana anuhari. Sita goes on telling Rama, in her dream she saw all people, they were sad, feeling miserable, as if they are being crushed. And mother-in-laws, they didn't look like having the normal dress, implying they are widows. Sunisias sapan bhare jalalochan, bhaye socha bas socha vimochan. Hearing the dream of Sita, tears began to flow through the eyes of Sri Rama. God, who is the dispeller of sorrow, remover of grief, in brief, he himself is dominated by grief. Thereby, Tulsidas is pointing to Leela, this Ram Leela. This is Rama's own play. Lakhan sapan yah neek na hoi, कठिन कुचाई सुनाई कोई, अस कही बंधु समेत नहाने, पूजी पुरारी साधु सन माने. Rama told Lakshmana that this dream that Sita told him presents some ominous happening is going to be brought. The news of some negative happening is going to be brought to his ears. Someone is going to bring a very shocking news. Thus saying, he and Lakshmana both did their morning ritual. They entered into the river that was close by and offered adorations to Lord Shiva. And also offer their adorations to sadhus, saints and sages. मनमानी सुर मुनि बंदी बैठे उत्तर दिशि देखत भये. Having adored gods and sages, that's how the Rama started the mornings. Behind all that is always the purpose. That's what aspirants must follow, that illustration, that example. Your morning should not start suddenly to be involved with your daily chores. Start your morning by charging your mind with vibrations of devotion. Early morning is a powerful opportunity for dealing with your mind and enriching your mind. It presents a psychological atmosphere. Whatever you bring to your mind early in the morning, after you have rested during the night, mind is sensitive, and sensitivity opens the door to your unconscious. So even though you may do your prayer and suddenly later forget all about it, but your prayer has impacted your unconscious in a profound way. So if you have that type of style of living, daily, facing the day with prayer, meditation, pranayams, chanting of Oms, all that again everyone must design according to their way. Practice of upasana is an artistic process. You may follow instructions and illustrations given by different sages in different ways. But basically, you must bring together all the things that help your mind to be inspired. Just to give you a simple illustration. You start your puja. You go through many rituals. In the end, you come to a state of chanting Om, Om. I feel very good. Why didn't you start it with Om? Commence with that type of practice that charges your mind with maximum inspiration. I'm just giving you just a bit. You have to figure that out. In other words, there are 4 or 5 items you have to do in your sadhana. Which one should be first? Which should be next? What should be the end? Figure that out, and by your own practice, see which one matches up with you. But every day must begin with that type of practice, puja, upasana. And Rama gives you the example. And then he sat and looked towards the north. Even looking towards the north has a subtle point. You do your upasana, and your goal is to follow Uttarayana movement, the northern path. But on that particular day, what he sees towards the north, Nabha Sanamani Suramuni Bandi Baithe, Uttara Dishi Dekhat Bhaye, Nabhadhuri Khagamriga Bhuri Bhage, Vikala Prabhu Ashrama Gaye. He saw dust cloud is coming towards the sky. Birds, deer, all the other similar animals, they are rushing towards Rama's ashram. And they are all agitated. Tulsi uthe avaloki karan, kaha chit sakachit sachakita rahe, सब समाचार की रात कोल्हनी आई तेही अवसर कहे. Tulsidas ji says, Rama got up seeing all this happening and began to think, what is this cause? What is happening? While he was mentally working on this, people living in that forest from wild tribes, Kolbhil, they informed Rama about a big party coming towards Rama. And of course they must have mentioned the name Bharata. Sunat sumangal bain, man pramod tana pulak bhar, sarad saroru hanan, tulsi bhare saneh jal. Rama was so thrilled that Bharata is coming. His entire body began to express ecstasy, thrill. And tears of love began to emerge out of his beautiful eyes, just like you would see a beautiful lotus shining with dewdrops. बहुरी सोच बस भेषी रवनु, कारण कवन भरत आगवनु, एक आई अस कहा बहोरी, सेन संग चतुरंग न थोरी. Now Rama began to reflect within himself. What is the cause of Bharata's coming? And at the same time, another person comes and says, the Bharata, along with Bharata, comes the entire army, Chaturangini, horses, elephants, foot soldiers, chariots, all complete set of army. So suni Rama hi bhaati sochu, itupitu bach itabandhu sakochu. Rama began to now reflect upon what is the purpose of Bharata's coming. Here Rama was firm with, he is observing the orders of his father. The father who gave his words to Kaikeyi, and he is observing those two boons that were given to Kaikeyi. So on one side, father's words. Next side, what is Bharata is coming to ask? भरत सुभाव समुझि मन माही प्रभु चित हित स्थिति पावत नाही. And also, knowing the nature of Bharata, Rama was unable to come to a complete picture about what's this all about. But ultimately, through his own sankalpa vikalpa, this is called sankalpa vikalpa, your mind thinks this way, that way, and then comes to a decision, a clarity. Samadhan tab bhayah jane, bharatu kahe mahu sadhu sayane. He focused his attention to who Bharata is. Bharata is sadhu, he is a saintly person. He is sayane, which means he is wise. In Indian word, literature, anyone who grows up says sayana ho gaya. But that's a physical growing. The word refers to your inner, real growth, spiritual growth. लखन लखेऊ प्रभु हृदय खभारू कहत समय समनीति विचारू. Lakshmana couldn't figure out what's going on with Rama. But he sees Rama was worried. And, of course, Lakshmana had also heard the news that Bharata is coming. Lakshmana, using his understanding, gave his rationality about Bharata's coming. Okay, you have to give me intermission. बिनु पूछे कछु कहूँ गोसाई, सेवक समय न ढीठ ढिठाई. Lakshmana tells Rama, O Lord, I'm going to express my view without waiting for your permission. तुम सर्वज्ञ शिरोमणि स्वामी, आपनि समुझि कहूँ अनुगामी. You are all-knowing Lord, and I am just a servant. So therefore, implying that this obstinacy you will not mind. If I नाथ सुहृद सुठि सरल चित, शील स्नेह निधान, सब पर प्रीति प्रतीति तिय, जानिए आपु समान. O Lord, you are Suhrid. Suhrid term is a very important word, which means you do good to people without a cause. You do good to a person because a person has been your friend, or a son or a daughter of a friend, or a relative, and so forth. There's always a reason behind why you are doing good. The God is irrational when he does good. I'm joking. You love everybody and you trust everyone. You think everybody is like you. You have to understand this type of dialogue is presented to bring out the strength of bhakti. What is bhakti? That's the topic. And all this dialogue, what Bharata is doing, what Rama says, what Lakshmana starts doing, they are all trying to bring out a picture of what bhakti implies, what type of strength devotion has, what trials and tests bhakti must pass through. विषयी जीव पाई प्रभुताई, मूढ़ मोह बस हो ही जनाई. Now these are the trials for the bhakti. Lakshmana is pointing out those people who are dull-wit devotees, led by moha. They reveal their low-grade nature. Firstly, he is giving the picture of how Bharata is much greater than ordinary people. The ordinary people described that They are always, they cannot hide their feelings. Low-minded people will reveal their low status very easily. Bharata is not low-minded. Bharata nitvirata sadhu sujana, Prabhupada premu sakal jagujana. Bharata follows the righteous conduct. He is saintly, wise, and he loves the lotus feet of Rama. Lakshmana is saying all that. This is well known to the whole world. Teu aaj Rama padupai, chale dharma marjada metai. Even that Bharata, having received coronation of Ayodhya, because he has gained the royal throne, now he has forgotten all his saintliness. All that needs to be observed for dharma marjad, and that Bharata has forgotten it. Kutil kubandhu kuo sarutaki, jani Rama panavasa ekaki. And he has become kutil, wicked. And finding this as his opportunity, that Rama is in forest without army. Bharata is coming with great army to destroy Rama, and if Lakshmana is implied. Try to understand this is a subtle artistic description, implying that even great people are unable to follow the path of bhakti. Because what normally people think of greatness, question how great? You can be very great, but your greatness is tested when you are given a great fortune, great power, and you still maintain your greatness. Then your greatness has passed the examination. But Bharata's greatness has not passed the examination. Now it is Lakshmana's view. He is great, but this temptation of the great kingdom and the great power, Bharata has lost his mind. But to understand, it's not a history being presented. It's an insight into what happens in human psychology. Your goodness, if it is so shallow that the moment you have great fortune and power, it runs away from somebody through your back door. Then that is not a real goodness. ज्यों जिए हो तिन कपट कुचाली, केही सोहाती रथ रबाज गजाली. if his heart had not been crooked and wicked, then he wouldn't have needed all these chariots and horses and elephants and all the army. He have just come humbly here and met us. But this is a clear-cut example. And of course, how can we blame Bharata? The whole world becomes mad when there is power. Sasiguratiya gami nagush chadheu bhumi surjan lok bedate vimukha bha adham na ben saman. Now, Lakshmana refers to, brings references from the Puranas. All those stories I'm not going through right now. They are all myths, giving various types of lessons. And what Lakshmana is saying, the moon god lost his character and lustfully looked at Brihaspati's wife. And there's a whole complicated story. King Nahusha, led by virtuous qualities, he went to the heavenly world. While Indra was away again by some complicated stories. And there he lost his virtue and he went after Indra's wife Shachi. And similarly, there was another king, Bain, who did terrible deeds. Sahasabahu Suranathu Trishanku Kehina Rajamadadinha Kalanku. And Sahasrabahu, another king, even Indra's stories of doing negative deeds, story of Trishanku, all these people, they lost their reasoning and common sense, led by power and pride of royalty. भरत कीन है यह उचित उपाऊ रिपुरिन रंचन राख बकाऊ. Bharata has adopted his plan that he wants to secure being the king of Ayodhya. And no one should be present like Rama and Lakshmana, they are there. And nobody would come to claim. So let that thorn be removed. And he is coming to remove the thorn. एक कीन ही नहीं भरत भलाई निजरे राम जानी असोहा सहाई. But one thing Bharata didn't do well, that he thinks that Rama is just alone, helpless. समुझ परिहि सो आज विषेखी समर सरोष राम मुख पेखी. But today he will have the revelation of Rama's wrath. And he will come to his senses. Etana kahat niti rasa bula, ran rasa batapu, pulakas misa pula. So far, Lakshmana was very humble, but at this stage of, he suddenly jumped up. All boundaries of modesty were broken up. And the fiery sense of being a warrior expressed through his personality. Prabhupada bandi sisha raja rakhi, bole satya sahaja balu bhaki. He touched the feet of Rama and puts the dust of Rama's feet on his head. All he did in a rush. And began to express his natural strength. Anuchita nath namana bamora, bharata mahi upacharana thora. O Lord, do not consider what I am going to say is improper. Bharata, by what he is going to do, he is not going to do an ordinary deed. It's a very evil deed. And there is no way we can just forgive him and endure all his ugliness. You, Lord, are with me. I have bow in my hand. Chhatri jati jagu kulak janamu, Ram anuj jagujan. Latahu mare charati sir, neech ko dhuri saman. I belong to Kshatriya race, warrior. In the family line of Raghukul, Suryavanshi, solar race, and devotee of Rama, you, Lord, I am so great. The whole world knows me. For me, how can it be tolerable to have Bharata coming to do all this ugly deed? And he gives this allegorical illustration. The low-minded people are like dust. Even if you kick the dust, it's so low-minded, but if you kick it, it goes up on your head. Very tricky. So we shouldn't kick it should completely destroy. Uthikari jori rajaya sumanga manahu bir rasa sovat jaga. With folded hands said, give me permission. And hardly Rama said anything, he's simply listening. And suddenly his heroic sentiment surged up. Badhi jata sir kasikati bhata, saji sarasanu saya kuhata. He immediately adjusted his locks of his hair and bow and arrow and all the setting in his body. Aju Ram sevak jasu leun, bharatahi samar sikhavan deun. Today I will be maintaining the pride of being Rama's servant. And I will give a lesson to Bharata. Ram niradhar kar phalu phapai, so vahu samar sej dau bhai. The fruit of insulting Rama, Bharata and Shatrughna both, they are going to lie down in battlefield. Dead. And with this I am going to conclude. The story will continue. Om Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushti vardhanam urvarukma bandhanan mrityor mukhyamamritat. Om Shri Ramaya Namah. Om Shri Ramaya Namah. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om. And prayer for the shower of Karunamaya Ras of divine grace over all to relieve the challenging conditions of the present time caused by the COVID virus. And I have given you a witty understanding of COVID. Kahavid, who knows? Try to know, who are you? And that's the answer, the big antidote to not only this virus, but Mrityu virus. The real virus is the mortality virus. And with this, may all of you be blessed with Shakti, Bhakti and Mukti, strength, devotion and liberation. Om Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushti vardhanam urvarukma bandhanan mrityor mukhyamamritat. Sarve bhavantu sukhina, sarve santu niramaya, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Hari Om Tat Sat.